Hello and welcome to France 24's weekly music show. I'm Marjorie Hash. My guest this week is Franco-British classically trained pianist Min-Jung Kym. For the last 2 decades, she's played across the world and recently released a book and compilation to help people overcome cancer. But first, let's take a look at some of the winners of the 64th Grammy Awards that took place on Sunday night in Las Vegas for the first time ever. No slaps in the face at this ceremony, but a message from the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to remind people that music is way more powerful than simply just being entertainment.
The war. What's more opposite to music? The silence of ruined cities and killed people. Our children draw swooping rockets, not shooting stars. Our musicians wear body armor. Instead of tuxedo, they sing to the wounded in hospitals, even to those who can't hear them, but the music will break through anyway. We defend our freedom to live, to love, to sound. On our land, we are fighting Russia, which brings horrible silence with its bombs, the dead silence. Feel the silence with your music. Feel it today to tell our story.
Big winners at this year's ceremony included jazzman Jon Batiste, whose album We Are was very successful in the US. Now, he won 5 of the 11 awards he was nominated for, including Album of the Year. Meanwhile, pop star Olivia Rodrigo's debut album Sour secured Best New Artist, Best Pop Solo Performance and Best Pop Album. Silk Sonic's soul anthem Leave the Door Open took home Record and Song of the Year prizes. And a tribute was also paid to Foo Fighter drummer Taylor Hawkins, who passed away in February. The band received 3 Grammys for their new album Medicine at Midnight, including Best Rock. And Min-Jung Kym, thank you so much for joining me in the France 24 studio.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you because it's quite an exciting time here. As I was saying, you recently released a book about music as a complementary form of therapy when it comes to the treatment of cancer. It's a book you co-authored with Dr. Alain Toledano, who was your practitioner when you yourself underwent cancer treatment. And you also put together a compilation of tracks that goes very well with the book. Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired this idea to put together both a book and a compilation record?
Of course. Well, basically in 2019, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Completely unexpected for me, obviously, because, well, in many ways, nobody expects to be diagnosed with cancer, but when it happens, it was a complete shock. And I was fortunate enough to meet Alain Toledano and to be treated and by his team at the Institut Raphael. And throughout the course of my treatment, we discussed on many occasions what it means to have complementary therapy, and especially music therapy in my case, because obviously being a professional pianist, it had a sort of a double aspect, because it was me practicing music therapy as a pianist and also being actually practicing music therapy as a patient. And during the course of our discussions, we said, well, in fact, we need to be able to transmit this message to a wider audience. And so we decided to write a book about it. And within the book also, because obviously being a pianist, as I say, I selected 10 pieces that accompanied me throughout my own proper treatment as well, and to explain why I made the selection.
And soothing music, actually your compilation is called Sounds for the Soul, but just listening to you play as a pianist is very soothing itself. I'm going to invite viewers to have a little listen and a look. So your compilation includes, music from famous film soundtracks, but also huge artists like Brahms, Mozart, but also French singer Charles Trenet and many, many others. What music at that time when you were undergoing the treatment was particularly soothing? And was there any music that you kind of couldn't deal with anymore, which you normally liked?
Well, I suppose the selection comes because it's exactly that. Music, in fact, when the music is something that you want to listen to, it's a certain track. It doesn't matter whether it's classical music, whether it's pop music, whether it's jazz. In fact, and that was the expression. That's what I wanted to express on this album. It's a very sort of a variety of composers and styles. And I suppose the thing is that also it was to show that through music you can express your emotions. And really, it was sometimes I needed to have music that was so that gave me the impetus to be able to just play and be forced, have just sort of express everything that I wanted to, all the anger and the frustrations and the questioning, and sometimes to have complete silence as well. So in fact, in a meditative quality, because for example, I play an arrangement of Arvo Pärt's Spiegel in Spiegel, which is a very meditative piece, a hypnotic kind of piece. Sometimes, were there any kind of tracks I didn't want to listen to? For me personally, no. I was always wanting to be accompanied by music. It just required music that was sometimes a little bit more tranquil, a little bit calmer, or sometimes something that made me want to just sort of jump up and dance in a way. And that's what music therapy is about as well, in a way, because in many ways we practice music therapy every day without really being conscious of it. And then when it's put in a more medical context, it's where you start to analyze the requirements, what needs you have with certain pieces.
And the impact it has on your body also. It's much deeper than just wanting to make you dance, I suppose. What also surprised you as your relationship as both a pianist, physically and psychologically, how did that impact you, being ill in such a way?
Well, obviously, when you're going through chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and other sorts of therapy during cancer treatment, we know the obvious second, the side effects, so like loss of hair, loss of sometimes appetite, and obviously the treatment can be it can be very tiring, very tough. But there were other aspects of it as well. For example, I had numbness in my fingers, which I was told to expect, but I didn't realize to what degree. And for me, it was quite a significant, actually, a side effect for me. And so it was things like that, because I continued playing throughout my treatment, that I needed to readapt in a way for my own playing purposes, because I continued to play. And it was something that drew me to also experimenting as well whilst I was going through the treatment, to find ways of being able to play again.
That's interesting, because it gave you also a goal, something to work on, and it's really, really interesting. But your book is going to be coming out in English. It's in French at the minute, but it'll be coming out in English, hopefully by the month of October, when breast cancer awareness is going to take place. But you've also been very busy, notably with the very world-prestigious piano makers Steinway and Son. You're in quelque sorte, in some ways, their ambassador. And you've been working on this really high-end technology. It's the creation of a piano that you could play in Paris that's connected to another piano, for example, in New York, and then it allows a recording from distance. Can you tell us a little bit more about it and how different that is to, say, for example, hey, I'm recording on my recording device, sending it over, and distance, or just with Zoom and the other orchestra playing? What's so specific about this new technology?
Sure. Well, the technology is a model of the piano is called Spirio, and Spirio R, which is sort of the second generation of this model. And in fact, it was a world premiere, this album recorded in this manner, because I couldn't travel at the time, because obviously I was going through the treatment, but also as a result of COVID. So we found a way to be able to record on this Spirio piano in Paris, and we then sent the data to New York, where their Spirio piano recreated absolutely replicated everything that I played, my dynamics, the touch, the pedaling, everything, all the nuances that would give in a live interpretation was recreated and reproduced in their own studio and recorded on their piano there. And that is what you hear today on the disc that's accompanied.
That's incredible. Min-Jung Kym, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the France 24 studio to talk about your book, record, and fabulous new project. You can also be seen live at Maison de l'Europe in Paris on April 19th as part of an event in support support for the Ukrainian people. We're going to play out with Rwandan superstar Bruce Melody, who has his eyes set on conquering the arena stadiums of East Africa. Here's his latest tracks, Totally Crazy. Remember our website. We're also on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. There's more coming up on news on France 24 after this.
Get your man down, totally crazy. My heart beats for you.